On this river behind me, in this almost exact place, there was what's called Sutter's Mill. And I'm in a city called Coloma, California. And Coloma, California is where the gold rush actually started. Gold was found in this city. As a matter of fact, right behind me. Now, the old sawmill is no longer here for obvious reasons, because it was 200 years ago. But there was these two guys, John Sutter and James Marshall. Now, James Marshall was a carpenter. John Sutter was building the Sutter Fort over in Sacramento. Now, Sutter needed somebody to help him, and he needed a sawmill so he can cut his wood and get it ready to go. And mind you, Sacramento from here is over an hour away, driving. So Sutter needed somebody to help him with this wood. And so James Marshall and Sutter got together, created a business agreement, and Sutter and Marshall had this sawmill built. And so as the sawmill was being built, there was, right before it was done, there was a day where there was a rock that got stuck in the tail race of the sawmill. And when they checked what was stopping the wheel from turning, they realized it was gold. So the employees brought the rock over to James Marshall, and he confirmed that it was actually gold, and the gold rush began from there. Well, his sawmill wasn't finished because most of the people, with an exception of a few employees, decided they were going to go find their own gold. And my point here is, life changes. There's pivots that happen, things that happen. You have you're saving your money throughout your whole career, and you're saving your money so that you actually have money to live off for the rest of your life. Now, nowadays with longevity, people living longer than they used to, there's a lot of people that are worried about running out of money, because many people are spending more time in retirement than they are their working years nowadays. And if the market drops again, like 2008, what would that do to your retirement plans? Let's say you have all your money in a 401k, which most people in this country do. What would happen if you lost another 30 or 40% of your income and you're already retired? Will that affect your future and your ability to have your money lasting longer? And what about taxes? Taxes are one of the number one issues that you have to deal with, right? They're one of the number one money killers during retirement, because it can be changed at the whim of Congress. You do realize that taxes were originally initiated in 1913. The tax bracket has been changed multiple times since 1913. Matter of fact, it was recently changed in 2019 to be the lowest tax bracket in 30 years. And that's going to, of course, end January of 2026. So my point here is that, when you're preparing for retirement, you have to also prepare for different life events or economy events. Taxes, inflation, that's a big one. I don't have to talk to you about inflation right now, but you have longevity. People are living longer and longer. And as you prepare for retirement, what if you're one of those 507,000 people that lived over 100 years old in 2022, and some of them are still alive? The oldest living person is 117 years old. What do you do if you live that long? Are you planning for longevity? Are you planning for inflation? How is your income increasing if you're not working? You can't get a second job. You can't work more hours to get overtime. What if you have a medical issue? How is your current plan going to help you prepare for that, right? So a lot of times as you're working and preparing for retirement, you're in what's called the accumulation phase. Now this phase is a point in your life where you're preparing to save as much money as you can in the market, and then you're saving it for this time now. Like, you're saving it so that now when you're preparing for retirement, you're able to have that money last you the rest of your life and you never have to worry about money again. But what's happening is a lot of people are retiring and going back to work, or having a second job because you got to pay for medical. Medical is another one of those income killers because you can't control it. Yeah, you'll be on Medicare, but Medicare changes too, is controlled by the government. So how much of your retirement plan is actually controlled by the government? How much of your allocations that you have in your current plan are set up for lifetime income for the rest of your life, and or tax-free income to offset the taxes that are going to come, right? We know there's going to be taxes because if you have a 401k, you haven't paid taxes on any of the growth or the contributions. As a matter of fact, you got a tax deduction for the contributions. So there's going to be a time where you're going to have to pay the piper. When you're the age between 73 and 75, there's what's called RMDs, required minimum distribution. I can't tell you how many people don't know what required minimum distributions are or when they start. I'm sure that your financial advisor or CPA had to have called you and said, hey, look, this is what you have coming tax-wise, so we need to prepare you for that. This is what we should do. I'd like to know what you did. And if not, why didn't you follow their advice? So there's things that happen on the other side of the pendulum when it's time to prepare for what I call decumulation. Now, from your accumulation phase to your decumulation phase, what is your strategy that you have in place so that when you're entering and continuing in that decumulation phase, how is your plan set up to never fail